William Morrow and Harper Audio present The Scot Seduction by Megan Frampton, performed by Morag Sims. To Sasha Devlin, you know what you did. Chapter 1. But I love you. Drusilla tried to keep her annoyance from showing on her expression. Perhaps if she thought about bunnies frolicking through a field, she would appear less impatient. Little fluffy tails, twitching noses, soft fur. Yes, she said in as gentle a voice as possible. You've said that. Many times. 47, in fact, during the past hour. Bunnies, Drusilla, she reminded herself. I understand, my lord, but what I am trying to say is that your feelings are no longer my concern. She winced as she spoke. She knew what she was saying sounded harsh, but it was better than, well, that is your problem. Lord Cavendish groaned and buried his head in his hands. He and Drusilla were sitting in her small receiving room, the room where all her forays into romance began and ended. He'd lasted longer than usual. He was handsome, not too smart, and had plenty of enthusiasm for anything they did together. But as always, Drusilla found herself growing restless, the ever-present shadow of perpetuity hanging over her head. Lord Cavendish had started making noises about forever and true love, and had once even mentioned a wedding. Though actually that last one was a mistake, since he was talking about changing the bedding, not having a wedding. That a lord would actually concern himself with such a task was remarkable, in fact. Even more than mentioning a wedding. Still, it was enough to make Drusilla's insides twitch, as they always did when anyone of the male species got too close. Like a bunny, she thought with a quickly suppressed smile. Which was why she had spent the last hour in this room, when she could have been catching up on her business's paperwork, or writing a letter to her sister, Diantha, who was off in America with her charming husband, or drilling the various residents of her house on the correct responses to a variety of questions. But Lord Cavendish deserved these last moments of her attention. It wasn't his fault that she was vehemently opposed to any kind of romantic permanence. She wouldn't share her romantic past with any of her lovers, and she had not veered from that in the months she'd kept company with Lord Cavendish, or Dish, as she'd soon nicknamed him, since he was someone she'd originally wanted to eat up with a spoon, and had, over the past few months. He was unaware that she was adamant about remaining immune to any feelings of love. Now it was time for her to hang up her cutlery, so to speak. She glanced discreetly at the clock in the corner. It was now an hour and 18 minutes since they'd started talking. She took a breath, then rose, making him leap up as well, thanks to his impeccable manners. Manners that extended into courtesy elsewhere, which she much appreciated. He always made certain she achieved her satisfaction before seeking his own. He also was considerate about hogging the bed covers. Several of her past paramours had thought self-swaddling a perfectly fine way to sleep, which meant Drusilla shivered through the night. Those gentlemen had not gotten nearly the same amount of time she'd accorded Lord Cavendish. My lord, I know you have other engagements, she said gently. He still had that wounded deer look on his face, or technically a wounded buck look on his face, since he was most definitely male. Parts of her already missed those parts of him, but she could not risk further entanglement. It would be unfair to continue with Dish if he was truly in love with her. She knew, as well as she knew her own name, Lady Drusilla Pollock-Saney Hester Courtenay, that she would never fall in love. Not again. The sting of the last time, nearly 10 years ago, still ached. But she'd managed to tuck it away in the tiniest part of herself, only allowing it to emerge in the middle of the night when she was safely alone. Yes, of course, he said. His expression was pained, and she bit back the words that would allow him to stay, since this end would still be inevitable, just delayed. She hated this part of it all. It wasn't in
Sample complete. Ready to continue?